Welcome back to another self-defense lesson. If you have not already recently, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, give it a thumbs up. We got plenty more videos coming your way. So today we are going to go over knife fighting. Now, I'm not covering specific techniques. We're simply going to go over how do you approach a situation where your attacker comes at you with a knife or some sort of sharp object that could cut or possibly take your life. So understand that when somebody does bring a knife to a fight, it is an incredibly dangerous situation to be in, but you really only have a couple options. If you have the opportunity to run away, absolutely, by all means, get the hell out of the situation and get to a safe place. But that is not always the case, and sometimes we are sucked into this situation and we have no choice but to deal and handle the situation at hand, which means controlling the attacking arm, which has the knife. Now, because of the situation, one of the biggest things that you have to focus on when you are dealing with a sharp object, or in this case a knife, I have to control the distance. I cannot, under any circumstances, let the attacker control the distance. And what do I mean by that? If we're in this situation and he has a knife, if he starts walking towards me and I start walking backwards and he walks towards me and I walk backwards and we just keep repeating this, understand that he is controlling the distance. He is closing that gap. He is forcing me to stay back on my heels and go in a negative direction. So I have to understand that if he's approaching me, I can't under any circumstances allow myself to move backwards. I either have to progress forward into him, or I have to either progress off to the sides or off on 45s in which I'm cutting the angle. And in that case, I am then controlling the distance, and I can understand that when I'm at those points, I can either close the gap and get close to him, or I can throw in strikes and start working myself back out again. But I can't allow him to force me backwards. So if we want to work the side to side, we have a couple options from there. If this person comes at me, understand, again, I can scoot to my left, I can scoot to my right, I can come off at an angle in either direction, it doesn't matter, it's your preference. But he comes forward, and all I'm going to do is shoot off to the side. Now, when we're in this situation, understand that now he's going in a completely different direction, I've stepped off at an angle, but as a result, I close the gap in that situation. I close the gap, I'm closer to him, I have the ability to throw in a quick kick if I want to, and then I can create that distance again and again, I can work in creating that space and start working my way around the attacker. Other option, if we're in the situation, is I can close the gap right away. So I allow him to step forward, I step off to the side, and now I can come in to close the gap and start controlling the attacking arm. So those are options that you have when you're cutting the angle. But the same thing can be done if I go off on a 45. He comes at me, and I step off at an angle this time. Understand that obviously we're going to be blocking the arm, and that's all going to determine how this person's striking us to begin with. But just the motion itself is I'm coming off on a 45, and again, this allows me the opportunity to now attack this person as I have free range of his back of his head, the side of his head, his neck, or I can start controlling the attacking arm and start getting control of that knife in this situation. So controlling the distance is something that you as a defender have to make sure that you're in complete control of at all times. If at any point you find yourself walking backwards, you have just lost the ability to control the fight, and you just have to hope that this person is not a good person with a knife and that you have to be able to handle the situation at hand in that situation. So controlling the distance is key. The other thing that you have to understand when you're in these situations is how you present yourself as an attacker. Now, normally when it comes to a fight, if this person's just throwing punches or grabs, my hands are going to be up and out front of me a little bit. But understand that when it comes to a knife, if I have my hands and arms out here, he can easily just start cutting and attacking my arm. Depending on how my arms are positioned, if he attacks the arms around the veins or the vessels, I can lose a lot of blood, which could be very life-threatening for me. So you have to understand that when it comes to a knife situation, my hands are still going to be up, but they're going to be close to me. Now, personally, for me, I like to keep it just completely close to my chest, but understand my hands are up, so it's still easy and quick for me to explode my arms outwards, but they're protected. So for me, I normally approach a knife situation when we're training. I'll approach it here. I'll keep my arms nice and tight, and again, as he starts progressing forward, I'll cut off that angle. Now I can explode my arms out a little bit, and again, I can attack and grab the knife hand. I can also start striking the face, striking the chest, striking the legs, but again, I'm focused on controlling this. But to me, that's my preference of, if I keep my hands close and tight here, I don't have to worry about him trying to get those cuts. Now again, all of that depends on how this person's attacking me, whether they're doing a jab, an uppercut, an overhand, slashing. That's all going to determine how I block and approach the knife in that manner. But the directions and the ability to protect my hands, that's going to stay the same no matter what situation you're in. So lastly, understand that when it comes to a knife situation, when you do get into the part of actually defending yourself and attacking this person and getting control, your main focus at all times is to control the attacking arm. There's no reason for me to start doing all this stuff if he has free range to use his arm. So no matter what situation you're in, no matter how he's using that knife, I have to make sure that when I do decide to close that gap, I have to get full control of this arm. Whether I completely tie up the arm, whether we're going the Russian tie, two hands on one, no matter what the case is, I have to have full control of this arm at all times. Now understand that you may put yourself into a position, for instance, If I'm here, I may be risking him trying to punch me in the back of the head, but also understand that I'm not going to be in this position too long, and understand that normally as an attacker, he also wants control of this knife. So instead of actually hitting me, he may be trying to fight back to try and get that knife as I'm also trying to fight and get the knife, and neither of us are really paying attention to strikes at the moment. So understand, focusing and locking down and isolating the arm or attacking arms that have the weapon, that is going to be your key focus when you do decide to close the gap. Once you get into that position, you've got the arm controlled, either you disarm or work on disabling that arm a little bit so that either they can't use the knife or the knife is physically not in their hands anymore, or as I'm holding onto the knife, I'm also simultaneously throwing strikes to this person to keep him focused on something else while I work on disarming the knife. So just understand as a whole, dealing with knives and sharp objects, again, it's a very dangerous situation, but you have to understand that if you can control the distance and the angles at which you're using, you have an upper hand when it comes to the fight. Don't let this person dictate the direction you go to. Don't let this person dictate how they're attacking and approaching you. As soon as that knife is drawn, you have to go in defense mode. Understand that using those angles, I have the ability to get in and do my strikes, get in and control, or like I said, you can get into these positions, throw kicks, throw strikes, and instantly break that distance again and kind of keep this person at bay. That comes down to your personal preference. Or at the end of the day, if you have the opportunity, run like hell, that's going to be your best option if it presents itself. As much as possible, we don't want to deal with these situations to begin with. So that's simply just approach how we deal with sharp objects, but in the best bet, stay away, run away, stay safe.